Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to WWE 2K14 Universe Mode. We are finished with Saturday night's main event, and we are straight into Raw. And if we check the calendar, you can see that this is the final week before Over the Limit. So I guarantee that things are going to go a little bit crazy here this evening. As normal, the previous first few matches on Raw have been played out with a wonderful victory of Sheamus over the returning Batista. I'm sure Batista will want some revenge for that. And a big victory for the up-and-coming Dean Ambrose over the British brawler Wade Barrett. But we start tonight's commentary and live TV with rather ironically with where we started last week. Antonio Cesaro versus Cody Rhodes in an Extreme Rules match. Tell us the story so far. As always, I'm here with my broadcast partner Martin. So why don't you fill us in? Well, it's quite simple. These guys have actually faced each other 2 weeks on the trot, and every time they have fought each other, Antonio Cesaro has hit Cody Rhodes with everything he's got, be it slams on tables, be it hits into the barricade, be it whatever you like. But Cody Rhodes has weathered it, and you can see it right here. Cody is not going to take any more for him. Cody is 2 fights up here. He is 2 up. And that, quite frankly, you can see here that Cody is not going to take any more rubbish, and he's not going to put himself in a difficult position where he can find himself getting hurt by Cesaro. He's going straight for the victory. And of course, you're right. If it is the case that he manages to put him away, then this won't just be a victory for Rhodes. This will be a crushing victory for Rhodes that is going to... Oh, hang on. Turn around is fair play, as Cesaro indeed now going for his finisher. And could this be the turning point? Cody has massively backfired on him right here. And once again, Cody is able to kick out of what we can safely say is probably Antonio Cesaro's biggest move, his biggest roll of the dice, the ace in his pack, and that has got to be demoralizing. It's true. I remember when I was an active wrestler, you had your big move, you had the move you like to finish your opponent with, a move that was like your go-to to put your opponent away. And on those very, very rare occasions that an opponent kicked out of that maneuver, it just got to you in your head. You're just gonna say, what do I have to do? And that's where Antonio Cesaro is going to be at in his head right now, because he wants to hit his finishing maneuver. He wants to put this guy away, but at the back of his head now he's going to be thinking, well, shall I, will it work, can I put him away? But it doesn't look like he is showing any signs of quitting right now, and in fact he's even forced Cody to the outside with that big swing, which is kind of a comedy move to an extent, but it's extremely disorientating. I mean, if you imagine you spun yourself round and round and round, and then I asked you to do any kind of physical activity immediately afterwards, it would be difficult. And then imagine wrestling a match against another vicious competitor after being spun round and round and round, and you can see the difficult situation. Oh my God! Oh my God! Well, I think that Antonio Cesaro has found a way to increase the pressure on Cody Rhodes. A half Nelson suplex followed by a ladder shot on the outside, and you can see the splayed out limbs of Cody Rhodes there, and he is in serious difficulties here. And remember, we saw the half Nelson suplex has been used a few times over the last few weeks. I think we saw Batista using it in one of our pre-show matches very effectively. And both competitors now going up to the top of the ladder, and Cody, oh my God, puts himself through a table with a twisting backwards moonsault, and Antonio Cesaro moves out of the way. Cody has got to be seriously hurt after that maneuver, and Antonio is merciless. He won't show any kind of pity for his opponent. Clearly a massive mistake there by Cody, and all Antonio will be seeing is, in his eyes, I'm sure, opportunity. Don't you agree, Martin? Absolutely. Opportunity. That's what wrestling is all about to an extent. Waiting for those moments, the time when your opponent makes a mistake or leaves an opening, and just taking advantage. You have to take those opportunities, because if you don't take those opportunities, quite frankly, your opponent will. Cody Rhodes here, back on offense, but you've got to ask the question, how hurt is he? How broken is he from that huge moonsault off the ladder? And yet he's going for it again, and actually manages to connect and goes for a pin. Surely, and Cody can't pull off miracle number 3 on Antonio. That would just be, it would be awe-inspiring, quite frankly, and it would really show how much Cody's resiliency has come on from just a few short years ago. But he hasn't yet pulled it off, although I could be wrong as we go here for a roll-up. No, Antonio is out and rolling up Cody. And Cody just escaping at the last possible second. Any kind of roll-up maneuver is very, very difficult to escape from when you are tired. I mean, roll up a fresh person, easy to get out of. Roll up someone that is tired. Roll up someone that just wants to rest, and it becomes ever harder. But you're right. But perhaps Cody won't need the roll-up, as once again he gets spine busted. A move borrowed from his mentor, Hardcore Holly. He spine busters Antonio, and once again he is going for the finish. And once again, Antonio, desperation maneuver, kicks out, and now the uppercut. Devastating maneuver. He goes for the cover. Could this be it? Could this finally be the moment where he takes the victory? And it is. Absolutely amazing action between these two top quality young athletes here on Raw. Absolutely, and more than just a victory. This is Antonio saying, I beat you, Cody. I have won on the scoreboard against you. But I think there's going to be still a little bit of nagging doubt in Antonio's mind. Did Antonio beat Cody? Or did Cody beat Cody? Because if we think about it, what was the move that finished Cody off? Was it the uppercut? Maybe. Or was it that moonsault off the ladder through the table? And who did that? Cody did that to Cody. So you're right, perhaps Antonio not fully out of the woods yet, but it has got to be a huge boost to him. He has a pinfall victory over Cody Rhodes for the first time here on Monday Night Raw. A truly jubilant Antonio Cesaro, playing with the fans here a little bit, but a well-deserved victory for the European. Next up on Raw, I've got another treat for you, of course, as we head towards Over the Limit. I do hope you will join us for the pay-per-view here at the weekend, of course. But it is now time to continue perhaps something a little bit more serious, and it is getting more serious all the time. Big Show versus Brock Lesnar. These two have faced each other a bunch of times, and the matches are just getting more and more violent, and Brock Lesnar is really starting to lose confidence. We're talking about Antonio Cesaro losing confidence. I think perhaps Brock Lesnar has lost confidence even more in his abilities, didn't we, Martin? Absolutely. Last week we actually saw Brock Lesnar backing off the Big Show. If you remember, he actually actively backed off him. He had the advantage. There were moments where he hit some amazing moves, some brutal moves, some moves that make you think, oh my God, this is the Brock Lesnar of old. And then there were moments of self-doubt. And here comes Brock! Well, it looks like Brock here is trying to put away those thoughts of self-doubt by taking out his opponent before the bell even starts. You're right, Martin. He has rushed into this seemingly with no fear, picking up the 500-pound Big Show and powerbombing him not once, not twice. Can he get him up again? 3 times. This is a really, really charged up Brock Lesnar, and he is beckoning Big Show for the finish right here. Can he pick him up one more time? Can he go for the F5? if he can get the pinfall here, this will be the victory over the Big Show he has been looking for well over 1 month here on Raw. But no. But no. But no. The Big Show is fuming. Look at the rage on that man's face. He is seriously irritated to have been jumped before the bell by the man-beast Brock Lesnar, and he is now powering back with huge strikes and power of his own. And remember, the limbs of the Big Show, the fists of the Big Show, the legs of the Big Show, these are far heavier, far more powerful than that of an ordinary man. And even someone the size of Brock Lesnar will be struggling to bear the weight of them. And especially when he gets him into a place like the corner, the sheer size of the Big Show will just trap you there. And Big Show essentially having his way with Brock Lesnar after that devastating F5 maneuver. Now, of course, we can think back to the match that we had previously. Antonio Cesaro finally got his victory over Cody Rhodes, and perhaps Brock Lesnar in the back watching that match. We don't know. Perhaps he saw the technique. The technique worked for Antonio, copying the technique, attack your opponent before the bell. I think you've got that wrong. It wasn't Antonio attacking the opponent before the bell. It was Cody attacking the opponent before the bell. I mean, what kind of commentator are you? You've actually got the wrong person running it at the wrong time. Cody ran in before the bell, but who knows? Brock might have watched and thought it was a good idea, but I've got the impression that Brock Lesnar doesn't really take inspiration from anyone else other than Brock Lesnar, if you know what I mean. But he might need to if he's going to keep getting sat on by a guy as big as the Big Show. And I apologise, you're right, I did get that wrong. It was Cody that came in, I apologise. But an interesting technique here by Brock. You saw there that the Big Show was winding up for another one of those big punches. And instead of going toe-to-toe with those punches, Brock Lesnar grabbed the big man in a headlock. And you can see here again, he's locking his big hands around the head of the Big Show. Not necessarily hurting him, but controlling him. And that has got to be frustrating the big man. I mean, I don't know if he'll get the victory that way, but it can certainly ease him on that way. You know, keep the Big Show hurting. Keep the Big Show under control. Keep the Big Show hitting you in the head with a headbutt. I don't think putting the Big Show in a simple headlock is going to be a way to victory. If that's his strategy, if that's all he's come back with, then he is going to lose. He did far better with the whole quick run-in thing, the F5, the triple bomb. That's how he's going to beat the Big Show this evening. A headlock, I think it's just going to distract the Big Show briefly, but that's not going to be the victory. Well, we shall have to see. Thank you for your commentary as always, Martin. And Brock Lesnar absolutely stunned, and Big Show lifting him up a good 9, 10, 11 feet into the air before putting all of his weight onto the sternum, the rib cage of Brock. Brock trying to fight back. Will it be in vain? He dodges the big foot and manages a stun move of his own to the Big Show, and it looks like he's going for another powerbomb. And it hits. Brock Lesnar going up. Brock Lesnar on the top rope. Brock Lesnar eats the canvas. And Big Show, rather than going for anything kind of clever or kind of skillful, just stands on him. Just stands on him. Just puts his huge weight onto Brock Lesnar, and you know that that is going to make a serious difference. Big Show with a typical big man move there. Call it the coconut crush, call it the bell ringer, whatever you want to call it, but it is a popular move by Giant Barbara from All Japan Wrestling or big men like the Big Show. And Brock Lesnar now has got to watch out for that big fist of Brock Lesnar, big fist of the Big Show coming his way. And I speak too soon. An awesome counter from the Man Beast. Picking up the Big Show again, scooping him up, slinging him across the ring. Brock Lesnar, sensing blood, he beckons the Big Show to get up just one more time. Can he do it? Can he pick him up again? Can he lift the Big Show? Can he F5 the Big Show again? I guarantee if the Big Show kicks again, Brock Lesnar will never recover. If the Big Show kicks again, Brock Lesnar's career will be over. It all comes down to this. What is going to happen after the second F5? I do not believe it. You said it, Martin. You said if it happened, it would devastate Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's stunned here. He hasn't even taken any moves, and he's just been knocked out by the Big Show, and it's done. It is over. The Big Show takes another victory over Brock Lesnar, this time after not one, but 2 F5s. That was an incredible display of fortitude by the Big Show. Perhaps we talk too much about Brock Lesnar, and we should talk more about the Big Show. He survived an F5. He survived being powerbombed. He survived that huge suplex we saw earlier. He survived a second F5, and now he simply punches Brock Lesnar and knocks him out. It's true. The Giant reigns supreme. Goliath beats David in this particular match. The Big Show, a very well-deserved, what are we at now, fifth victory over Brock Lesnar. And I stand by what I said. Kicking out of that second F5 has got to have got into the head of Brock Lesnar. He is going to be affected, mark my words. The next time we see Brock Lesnar, whether it's against the Big Show, whether it's against someone else, he is going to be second-guessing himself. He was scared last week. He backed off last week. He tried to avoid the Big Show last week, and he beat that. He came back today. He fought the Big Show. He brought it to the Big Show, but it wasn't enough. He went for the F5 twice, and twice the Big Show kicked out. That's got to get to him. I agree, but now we need to talk about our main event of Raw. John Cena versus CM Punk. These are perhaps the two most kind of, I don't like to use kind of insider words like faces or heels, but these are two very, very popular superstars, possibly the two biggest in the WWE right now in terms of their popularity with the fans and the amount of merchandise they sell. This is a marquee matchup, and we are seeing it tonight for free on Raw as we head towards Over the Limit. What do you expect to see from these guys this evening, Martin? Well, I expect to see what we saw from the last couple of weeks. I expect to see two men who are hungry, two men that are in the peak of physical condition, two men that are in the peak of their careers, and I expect to see them pulling out all of the stops, whether it's an FU, whether it's a go to sleep. I think this is going to be a good, solid match between two very popular, very talented competitors. But if I had to force you to make a pick, what are you going to say, Martin? Well, we've had a victory from CM Punk, if you remember, on the outside. He pinned John Cena on the outside the ring, and then last week Cena came back. Cena with the FU. Cena showing his dominance. And although CM Punk's going to be looking for revenge, I can't help but think that the man with the decade at the top, the man who has been ruling the WWE now for over a decade, is going to once again stamp his authority. I say Cena for the victory. Well, we will have to see if you are right. Thank you again for your expert commentary, Martin, as CM Punk already bringing out the big guns. We had a somersault flip off the ropes. We had a big knee into the corner. But he has got to watch out for that explosive energy of Cena. If he gives him an opportunity, Cena will take advantage and he will just hammer away with blow after blow after blow and maneuver after maneuver. But I speak too soon as CM Punk blocking Cena's preferred fisherman suplex with a move of his own, and perhaps then trying to show that he can up the suplex game even further by a Northern Light suplex, and then slamming away with elbows. Definitely, as we've said in previous weeks, CM Punk, the superior striker, but the sheer strength and power of Cena is something that is very, very, very hard to match, and his resilience as well. I would agree. I would say actually that's Cena's perhaps greatest attribute, his resilience, his ability to almost be at death's door, the point where you kind of think there is no possible way this man could ever come back. And all of a sudden he's on top of you, and you've got the five-knuckle shuffle, and you've got the FU, and it's just, he's put you down before you even know it. And you could see it here. CM Punk definitely in control. Scoring so far, CM Punk has got to be saying, you know, he's got to be the man in charge of this, but you can't ever count John Cena out of a match in WWE. You're right, I absolutely agree. I mean, there are just so many occasions when you can think that John Cena has been in a situation that you would say it is over, whether it's a WrestleMania main event, whether it's just a little match on Raw. There are so many times where it just looks like the match is over, and just like he's doing here, he pops up. He comes back at his opponent, all guns blazing, shoulder tackle, and then that devastating FU maneuver, which despite not necessarily looking like the most powerful move in WWE, has taken out megastar after megastar, and you have got to respect its effect. Up for the FU now. CM Punk is down, going for the pinfall cover. John Cena with the 1, the 2, and not yet, says CM Punk. Not yet. Coming back the only way he knows how, with swift strikes. Perhaps bringing in the flips again. And that's the second time now that John Cena has managed to dodge one of those big up-top maneuvers. And something a bit more technical from John as he flips over into a nice pinning predicament, a bridge from CM Punk. And I'm sure he will try to bridge it back into a pin of his own. And John Cena very easily, it has to be said, managing to get out of that pinhold there. CM Punk is going to need to do more if he wants to put this guy away. Cena dazed, scooped up. And CM Punk may have even heard my advice there from ringside. He has instantly done some real damage to John Cena here. Can Cena do what? Wow. Wow. Absolutely. Wow. Have we ever seen that before? I don't know if we've seen that before. That was a 0 count, a none count on the go to sleep. I mean, that was just absolutely incredible. You've got to say, though, he is damaged. He must be damaged. He didn't move from that flipping leg drop there. And so whether Cena is going to have been hurt by that. But kicking out of the go-to-sleep on a none count, I don't think is something we have ever seen here before. That is absolutely incredible resiliency by John Cena. CM Punk now going for the roll-up, and he might now, of course, be able to get a little more juice out of that. And again, going from the kind of flip-based maneuvers. And as we might have expected, John Cena knows they're coming. I think CM Punk really needs to vary the strategy. If he wants some kind of victory over Cena, he's going to have to stop flipping at him. Cena knows they're coming. Whenever there's a pause, he knows that is what CM Punk is attempting. But I can't help but thinking that CM Punk's perhaps lost just a little bit of creativity in his offense. He's going to have to try and pull out something just a little bit more creative if he wants to take down the face of the WWE for the last 10 years here. And this time it is John Cena heading to the top. Oh my God! Go to sleep, number 2 on John Cena. Oh my God. They kicked out again. He kicked out again on absolutely nothing. I actually had to check my monitor to see if it was broken. He kicked out on nothing for the second time right here on Raw. And you know that's got to be eating up CM Punk right now. It's true, we've been talking a lot about kicking out finishes tonight. It seems to have been the theme of tonight's Raw, that the resilience of our precious WWE superstars in terms of what they have been able to put up with is quite incredible, and nothing has been more impressive than that maneuver of John Cena kicking out twice on 0 from the always impressive go to sleep, and now turning the tables back on CM Punk. I mean, how demoralizing and demotivating would it be to to have someone kick out twice, and then to have someone kick out twice and then absolutely dominate you and steal the victory for you. But let's face it, it could happen. This is John Cena, and if he can take the victory, then he absolutely will. I think we had CM Punk try to move there. There was a kind of it looked like he was trying to flip, but it was kind of half-hearted, and then before we know it, John Cena was there. And this time it looks like John Cena not going for the pinfall, going for the STF. What will CM Punk do here? Perhaps it's time for CM Punk to show his own bit of resiliency, making it to the ropes. He's battered, he's bloody, he is hurting. But again, he rolls up John Cena. But it's not enough. think the next person, the next kind of big maneuver either of these guys is going to pull off is going to be the game changer here. We've had a bunch of finishes. Both of them now are hurting. They've got to be tired. And we could be heading towards it here. John Cena putting CM Punk on the top rope. You know it's got to be big if it comes from the top. Looks like we're getting some kind of superplex maneuver. And there it is. CM Punk flat out on the floor. But John Cena, unusually now, heading back to the top rope. John Cena ducking. And John Cena flying. No! Countered by CM Punk in midair. I thought we were going to see a kind of a leg drop or a twisting backbreaker. 1, 2. No, the resiliency of John Cena once again sneaking through. CM Punk has not yet done enough to take down the A-grade man, the top man, the big cheese, the honey honcho of the WWE. And he is definitely going to have to do more. And taking on John Cena in a test of strength is not the sensible way to get what you want. John Cena with a huge roar, taking down CM Punk there. John Cena electing not to go for another 5-knuckle shuffle. Different tactic from CM Punk, perhaps submission style. What will John Cena respond with, if anything? Could he be fading? He's not fading. He's barely even hurt by this. When was the last time you ever saw anyone tap out to a hold such as this? Here we go. John Cena just conserving a little bit of energy. I guarantee that was all it was. He's toying with his opponent, quite frankly, right now. I think he thinks he's got him. I mean, what is CM Punk even thinking here? The octopus stretch? The octopus stretch? This is the top match in WWE right now. It's on the main event on Raw, and he's trying to take out the 10-year world champion, the 10-year face of the WWE, with an octopus stretch. And quite clearly now, John Cena toying with him. He's going to scoop him up. It's going to be over. John Cena, another victory, and it's going to be just all CM Punk's fault. And here we go with the FU once again. Will Punk be able to kick out one more miracle, or John Cena will take the win again? Well, we do hope you have enjoyed spending tonight's WWE Raw with us. Stick with us, just straight up this. We've got Smackdown coming out. But before we do, it looks like John Cena extending the hand to CM Punk. A hard-fought victory. John Cena willing to extend an olive branch, and CM Punk accepting. I think I'm sure you would agree at home that both men performed very admirably tonight. There was no cheating as far as we could see. There was no use of weapons, no bad feeling. A highly competitive match, ending with a handshake between these two very, very popular superstars. So, welcome to Smackdown. Let me run you through what has gone on here before we went live today. First of all, Ric Flair and Goldberg faced off, a match that used to happen on Monday Night Nitro on occasion, and as per usual, Goldberg able to outwit the wily veteran, but only after absorbing many dirty tricks from the dirtiest player in the game. And then something a little bit unique, a triple threat match between Stone Cold, Bret Hart, and Randy Savage. The Rattlesnake coming out on top there by pinning Randy Savage and very much avoiding his old adversary Bret Hart. But match number 3 is going to be televised tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest versus the smallest. Andre the Giant versus Rey Mysterio. Now, you might looking at this, it does seem like this is a wide open mismatch. A man close to 7 foot versus a man close to 4 foot. And but as we all know, Rey Mysterio has built up a reputation in his career of being the giant killer, with victories over Kevin Nash, with victories over the Big Show, with victories over men twice his weight and close to twice his size. The question will be, can he perform those miracles again there tonight, or will we get what we expect? The domination of a huge man over Rey Mysterio. And unexpectedly, as we can see here, the Andre the Giant, the first man down. Perhaps he underestimating his opponent. And I do think, even if you didn't bring me in here, David, I do think that Andre has got to be careful not to underestimate his opponent. I think, to be blunt, that's the secret of Rey's success sometimes. His opponents underestimate him. They think he's an underdog. They think that he's just this little kind of insect that kind of flies around. And before they know it, they're lying flat on their back, rolled up for a 3 count. So Andre has got to make sure that he brings his A game. Don't take the night off. Otherwise, he could find himself the victim. But when it comes down to it, Rey Mysterio honestly shouldn't be in the ring with these guys. I mean, he is just so much smaller. He should be in the light heavyweight division. He should not be hooking it up with these, in my view, proper wrestlers. I think that's a little bit unfair on Rey, though. Very unfair, really. I mean, surely it should come down to his ability, not his size. And like we said in the introduction to this match, he does have victories over gentlemen far bigger than his. He does, but there's always that danger that he will find himself injured. His body just won't have the resiliency. I mean, how much time has Rey Mysterio really spent off, injured over the last few years? It's a huge amount, more than perhaps any other wrestler of a similar age bracket. And you can just see here that when Andre there stepping over Rey, as he did like a few minutes ago, when he does that to a normal sized man, you wince, you think, oh my goodness, what about the bone, type thing there. But when it's Rey Mysterio, it almost feels morally wrong for that to happen. And for that reason, I don't blame Andre. Andre's doing what he has to do in a wrestling ring for his career. I blame Rey Mysterio. I blame the promoters. They shouldn't have been booking him in this particular situation. Well, I think we will leave that particular debate there, as I don't think we're going to be able to kind of come to an agreement on that one. But one thing is for sure is that Andre has done some serious damage to Rey. However, Rey is definitely faster, and definitely, I think, probably has had Andre down more than Andre has had Rey down so far in this particular match. And I think Rey is going to be looking towards some kind of finishing maneuver. Of course, the question will then be, how much effect will that finishing maneuver have on Andre? And shockingly, Andre the Giant pushed down to the outside by this little Mexican sensation. And if I was Andre, quite frankly, I would be annoyed at this point. It's not so much a matter now of winning the match, but perhaps a pride. And you can see there Andre coming back and running. Like, how often do you actually see Andre the Giant run? He's got to have been pretty vexed by what just occurred there. Knocked out of the ring, drop kicked out of the whole wrestling arena by this little man. And look at this, Andre the Giant heading up to the top. This is not something you see before. Clearly, Andre wanting to prove that he can go head to head with the little man, and isn't just going to be the slow moving one. And huge suplex there. Andre now bouncing off the ropes. A huge splash. But foolishly for Andre, an error that we don't usually see, allowing Rey Mysterio to get caught up into the ropes before going for the pinfall. He's going for it again here, but it may be too little too late. Rey having a chance to recover from that big splash, and a long 2 count, but the kick out very much there. Rey now fighting back. Andre stunned, a big stunning maneuver, but Rey, I don't know what happened there. He seemed to kind of pause, like he didn't seem to know kind of what he was going to do there. Like he didn't seem to have an idea about where he was going to go at this point. And this time it looks like it's Rey's turn to visit the outside, and Andre is following. Dangerous situation here. Rey Mysterio has prepared the table, and I guarantee you that both of these men will be looking to use that. Oh my God! Rey Mysterio has just done exactly what he needed to do. If he was going to win this match, he was going to have to pull out something quite extraordinary. And that is what just happened. We had a massive DDT through that table. And Andre the Giant now picking up the stairs. This is not a no DQ match. And Andre there would have DQ'd himself had he have connected with that. Clearly this is a very angry Giant, and this is turning into a very serious situation. The referee, of course, there doing his best to remove the offending object, as Rey coming in with a massive flip on the Giant. But the Giant having none of it, kicking Rey Mysterio in his private area. A huge, huge slam. Andre scooping up again. And Rey with the roll-up. A long 2 count there on Andre the Giant. We very nearly had the miracle that we were asking for. A Hurricane Rana from Rey, but Andre not in the right position for any kind of a 619 maneuver. Rey dragging the Giant around. And Andre the Giant relatively easy kicking out that time. And Andre just dropping his whole weight on Rey Mysterio, and the elbow drop, and that is surely all she wrote for Rey Mysterio. A very gutsy performance, but as expected, the Giant using his weight, his strength to his advantage. But look at this in the replay. You've got to say that that was an amazing performance by Rey Mysterio. Like you said at the beginning, we perhaps weren't expecting the victory, but I wasn't expecting him to come that close. There was a very, very, very long 2 count from that roll-up. He nearly performed the miracle that we didn't think he could. And if people like Triple H, the CEO, are watching, I don't know who actually came out best in that match. Andre the Giant got the victory, but are you more impressed with Andre winning, or are you more impressed with Rey very nearly taking a victory from the Giant? Andre the Giant surveying the carnage here. A great match for you fans, WWE fans at home, wiping the sweat from his brow, limping as you might expect for a man of his age, but you can see the relief on his face there. Very, very happy to take the victory from Rey Mysterio. And now we have to turn to what has become a very serious situation in my view here on SmackDown. Once again, Hulk Hogan has requested a match with Yokozuna, and once again, for reasons known only to himself, Triple H has allowed this match to continue. Why don't you give us the rundown, Martin? Well, it's quite simple. Hulk Hogan just does not know when to quit. He has been beaten by Yokozuna now 3 times in a row, and by beaten I don't necessarily mean he's lost the match. I mean he has lost the match, but I mean that he has got his arse absolutely handed to him. He has been put himself in dangerous situations. He has put himself in a situation where a 500-pound man is dropping his entire body weight on top of Hulk Hogan, and it's becoming a serious situation, because at some point Hulk Hogan's body is just not going to be able to take it anymore, and Hulk Hogan really just needs to realize that this is a feud he cannot win, and just back away from the sumo wrestler, take on some other opponents, go on a nice little tour, let people around the country see him, and take on opponents where he can have good matches. Doesn't necessarily matter if he wins or not, but not put himself at risk of getting hurt. This is a hungry Yokozuna, a hungry young man from Japan who wants to make an impact, and he's not going to stop. He's not going to have mercy on this man, and you can see that huge slam there. The huge amount of body weight just dropped on to the ribs of the Hulkster. It's true, this is a dangerous situation for Hogan to put himself in, but he's putting himself in it week after week after week, because he wants to prove that he can beat Yokozuna. He wants to prove that he has still got it, and why shouldn't he? This is a man used to winning. This is the legend. This is the icon. This is the 6 times world champion? Oh, probably more if we include the WCW title reigns and the IWGP ones. I mean, this is a man who is used to being the man. And to have someone like Yokozuna just basically kind of dominate him in this way has got to be infuriating. And perhaps, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is a good thing, but unlike Brock Lesnar, perhaps in our Big Show match from Raw, Hulk Hogan is saying, I'm not going to back off, I'm not going to walk out of this match, I am going to come back and I'm going to bring it to Yokozuna until I get this victory. And that's admirable. But you know that there's always a small line between admirable and really bloody stupid. Because what happens if they go too far? What happens if the weight just drops on the wrong bone at the wrong place? You're looking at a very, very dangerous situation for this guy to be in, an elderly guy at that. Well, he wouldn't be wrestling if he wasn't medically cleared. We have doctors. They will check out these wrestlers before they compete. If they didn't think Hulk Hogan could go, then he quite frankly, he wouldn't be here. Yeah, but there's a difference between being able to go and being able to survive the onslaught from Yokozuna. But perhaps we're missing the story of this match. It has to be said that huge plex aside, Hulk Hogan has been winning this match. I think Yokozuna has actually really been struggling today. We've had a couple of big suplexes from the man from Japan, but overall it has been Hulk Hogan dominating this match with a sling to the outside, and perhaps now this is being Yokozuna's first real flurry of offense. But as we've seen in previous matches, Yokozuna really doesn't need all that much offense to actually win the match. I mean, if he manages to drop his bulk on you, then you can more or less forget about him. And there, I don't even think that was a wrestling maneuver, but just that very act of, oh dear, he just dropped his huge bulk over to the neck and face area of Hulk Hogan, and that has got to be causing him to second guess himself. And we haven't seen this for a while from Yokozuna, the painful nerve hold that he has mastered back in Japan, it grabbing the some of the veins and nerves going down from the neck. Excruciating pain, but Hulk Hogan here trying to go for the victory, but failing to set up Yokozuna correctly for the leg drop. He manages to dump him back inside the ring, but I don't think that he has got enough in the tank to put this man away now. I mean, put yourself in a situation, Martin. I mean, if you were Hogan, what would you be doing at this point? Running. I would be running. Like, why would you even stay in this situation? Why would you put yourself in a situation when you can get hurt? But fine. But I will answer your question more carefully. Or more seriously, I should say. If I was Hogan and I was genuinely trying to get a victory over Yokozuna, the secret has to be to avoid his offense. You have to play defensively. Yokozuna can beat you in 2 or 3 maneuvers. Yokozuna can beat you with just a few slams, like that one there, like that huge one there. So Hulk Hogan has to wrestle in such a way that he avoids putting himself in these dangerous situations. And for that, he means he has to keep away from the big man. He has to avoid getting grabbed, strike from a distance. Don't let him take control, because I think Yokozuna right now is looking for that bonsai drop, and we all know Hulk Hogan can't survive the bonsai drop. We've seen it now many times. Okay, so thank you, good advice. Thank you for your expertise there. So Hulk Hogan needs to play more defensively if he wants any kind of victory over Yokozuna, but that may be too little too late for Hogan, as once again Yokozuna doing that slow climb to the top rope. And here it is. Again, I hope Hulk Hogan is okay, but I think we can write this match completely off. Yes. Another 3 count, another formulaic victory for Yokozuna over Hulk Hogan. I just hope, like I said at the start of this match, Hulk Hogan at some point just goes, you know what, let's fight someone else. Let's call what's done is done. I'm not going to be able to beat Yokozuna, because I've got a feeling at some point Yokozuna is really going to snap on Hogan, and he isn't going to be satisfied with one slam here or one slam there. He's just going to keep dropping those bonsai drops on Hulk Hogan until he really causes some damage, and I wouldn't want to have to be the commentator that calls that match. Yokozuna, exhausted, of course. His big body weight will mean that he will be very tired in these matches. Tired is freaking exhausting. I mean, let's face it, he can be able to sweat walking down the stairs in the morning. I mean, that is one thing that, ironically, Hulk Hogan has over his younger opponent. I would argue that Hulk Hogan is probably fitter, probably has more stamina. So maybe the other thing that Hulk Hogan could do to try and get a victory over this guy is to take the match long. Let him just wear himself out. But I stand by my original piece of advice. If I was Hulk Hogan, my technique would simply be to wrestle someone else. And this brings us to our main event of SmackDown, our final match before Over the Limit, which I do hope that you will join us for at the weekend. The Rock versus Edge. Now, this is a feud that has to be said has got progressively more, I don't know how to describe it, arrogant, I would say is the word. We had a very competitive match between these guys a couple of weeks ago. Really, really fun match. Really enjoyable to watch. A handshake at the end. Two guys at the top of their games going at it. But then we've had a few rematches. And what we've had since then is The Rock getting more and more, I guess, kind of just irritating his opponent. Like, he's been copying his moves, he's been taunting and posing and telling him to bring it mid-match and all sorts of things. And these guys do still seem to be friends. The atmosphere seems to be okay, but there's an if you'll excuse the phrase, there's an edge to what Rock is now doing in the ring that didn't seem to be there before. And Edge once again requesting this match from Triple H. Triple H is happy to grant these matches. He seems to be in a mood at the moment where he will let competitors go at it more than once to truly find out who is superior. But The Rock really has been pretty dominant over Edge for the last couple of weeks. Not the first match. The first match, like I said, very, very, very back and forth. Look at this. Look at this. Edge is leaving. Edge is leaving. Edge is actually walking out of here. Edge is throwing in the towel, saying he's had enough against The Rock, and The Rock is going straight after him. Rock is saying, no. You aren't going to bail out on me. You aren't going to run away from my. You aren't going to run away from my match. And Edge forced against his will to come back into this match. Well, that is ironic. What do you make of that, Martin? I make of it of a man that is absolutely in two minds. I mean, as far as I'm aware, and as far as you are aware, it was Edge that requested this match. The Rock feels he has nothing left to prove against Edge. It was Edge that has requested this, a third, fourth match between these guys, and yet it was Edge there was the one that was bailing. Now, it's possible, of course, that Edge was actually just trying to sucker The Rock in, and we can see Edge here is on offense. He has picked up the momentum here over Rock, so it could have just been a complete, like a mind game. But it really did look that at some point in his head he just kind of went, I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time here, and I should probably just bail. There is no point me fighting The Rock because again I am going to lose. But this does seem to be a more aggressive Edge since they have come back into the ring. In fact, I seem to remember we were saying last week that Edge did need to be more aggressive against The Rock. But of course, what we know about from The Rock, from seeing him wrestle here over the last few years, is that if you go ultra aggressive on The Rock will go ultra aggressive on you. He has that fifth gear that he can call upon when he needs to. And to be blunt, he's got a nasty streak. As well as that arrogant streak, he has got a nasty streak. And I think if Edge wants to take the match this way, as you can see here, getting his face slammed into the ground, he needs to be prepared to take it as well as bring it. And this time, not able to suplex The Rock back in. The Rock getting the jump at him, and we've got a huge move from the top rope, but Edge moving out of the way and dropping a big elbow across the sternum of The Rock. And now Edge is the one pounding The Rock's head into the ground. It's like what we've been saying. The aggression is ramping up between these two, and I just wonder what would happen if they were put into a match with a few weapons around the place. What we would see was happen. That would be interesting. I mean, certainly a very aggressive match between these two. And Edge here getting up dazed. Rock going for a DDT on the outside. Yes, an aggressive match between these two with their current mindset, I think would be very interesting. I mean, as a fan, I guess I would like to see it. As a human being, I'm not so sure. But The Rock here, visibly upset about what has just occurred. Going for some nasty moves on the outside, and Edge now putting The Rock on the table. I do hope that we're not going to see something that we're going to regret here. Edge going up the top rope. Rock's not moving. And the aggression level has been successfully raised. Edge from the top rope, outside the ring, through a table. The Rock has been seriously injured here by the actions of Edge. There is no way that The Rock is going to be not seriously suffering after that maneuver. But The Rock has come back in seriously irritated, and he has locked in the sharpshooter on Edge. I think both of these men now are going to be looking to put the other person away, but I would have to give the advantage slightly still to Edge. That huge elbow through the table, but it will obviously depend. The first man to put together his finishing maneuver will be the victor here, I am sure. Who will put together? Will it be the spear? Will it be the rock bottom? And actually, interestingly, in this match, we have seen no taunting and mocking from The Rock. This is a match that The Rock has had to take a lot more seriously, because basically Edge has forced him into it. And Edge scooping up Rock here for some sort of kind of Samoan flapjack maneuver. Edge backing away. And it looks like it's time for the spear. Can he hit it? No, he can't. And now it's Rock's turn to beg for his opponent to come up to his feet. And Edge counters the rock bottom with a wonderful elbow combination. Goes for the kick. Doesn't seem to be able to follow up with something, but I guess he's probably a little bit stunned that he's still in the match. A huge neck breaker. And Edge going for the cover. Rock kicking out relatively easily here. And there's the spear. There is the spear. Edge finally hitting that huge maneuver right there on the Rock. Going for the cover. 1, 2, and he's got his first pinfall victory over the Rock. Aggression, aggression, aggression. You can see it in the replay. This was an Edge that was determined to win at all costs. He second-guessed himself at the beginning of the match. He walked out, but then he survived the sharpshooter. He managed to he managed to elbow his way out of the rock bottom, and on his second attempt, that spear was enough to put Rocky away for the first time in this feud. And now I think the question has to be, how will The Rock react? How will The Rock react to being the one for the first time who tastes the bitter taste of defeat? How will this affect him? And to be blunt, will it send him over the limit? I like what you did there. A nice segue into our wonderful pay-per-view, which is coming up this Sunday. And I think that probably takes us very nicely into a situation where we should check out the card so you can see what thrills and spills we have coming for you at our pay-per-view Over the Limit. As always, let's just quickly recap the results of the Saturday night's main event for you here. We're just going to we'll just skip through them. We had a lovely match between Batista and Daniel Bryan. Batista not having a lot of luck though since coming back to the WWE, with Daniel Bryan picking up another victory. Randy Orton defeating Mark Henry, who we saw in action a couple of weeks ago, very powerfully over The Rock, I believe. And Sheamus with a victory over Brock Lesnar as well. Brock Lesnar not having a good time in WWE at present. Which brings us to our pay-per-view. This will be in our next video recap, and of course the whole of this pay-per-view will be live. There will be no skipped matches. We have a rematch between Daniel Bryan and Batista, and you can be sure Batista will be looking for revenge. We have a great tag team match, the United Kingdom, Wade Barrett and Sheamus versus Money Incorporated, Andre the Giant versus Ted DiBiase. A lovely clash of styles there. We'll have technical wrestling, we'll have aggression, we'll have physical wrestling, we'll have power. There'll be all sorts of things to look out for there. And Antonio Cesaro finally gets his shot at the United States Championship of Cody Rhodes. All the matches have been non-title so far, and remember, Antonio just picked up his first victory against Cody Rhodes. I'm sure that'll be a match you don't want to miss. And we go back to square one, a submission match between the Big Show and Brock Lesnar. These guys face each other. This whole issue started in a submission match. What will happen when they face off again in that dangerous environment? The Rock and Edge, as a result of what we just saw on SmackDown, Triple H has booked the match again, but this time in a Falls Count Anywhere match. We saw that huge table spot from before. We may well see something similar as they go head to head in a Falls Count Anywhere. And John Cena versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship. These guys, John Cena with the highest, the wins so far, 2-1, I believe, over CM Punk. But that one has got to be eating away at John Cena, and we're going head to head in an I Quit match, possibly the most violent match the WWE has to offer. And lastly, the universe has been watching, Triple H has been watching, and thanks to all of those victories over Hulk Hogan, the legend, the icon, Yokozuna, has been granted a match against Randy Savage for the World Heavyweight Championship. Please join us real soon for Over the Limit.